Okay, we're rocking and rolling. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for tuning in to the first ever episode of the Artemis Fowl Confidential podcast. This is new to me and new to Mira here, so please bear in mind that we have no idea what we're doing. We're just kind of winging it and figuring things out as we go along.
Definitely winging it.
Oh yeah.
There we go.
Can't knock it. So, as you guys know, there's a lot going on in the fandom at the moment. There's the movie coming out. We're getting teaser trailers. We're starting to get sort of pictures coming out. We've got new books on the horizon. So we thought the podcast is probably the best way for us to chat it out and figure stuff out and talk about things as a community. So yeah, that's kind of the reasoning behind it. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Matt. I've been running the Artemis Fowl Confidential site and community for the last, must be about 13 years now.
Since forever.
Yeah, since literally forever. So I don't know if you can tell, but I'm a very old man now. I have to sort of spend large amounts of time sitting down because otherwise I run out of breath. You know, just getting old and tired and broken. That's what happens when you're waiting for the Artemis Fowl movie, huh?
It does.
So, and I don't know if you've noticed Mira talking away, but this is Mira. She's a long-time AFC visitor and contributor who, without Mira's help, this definitely would not be happening because I can just about turn my phone on to record video. Mira will be working away to splice it all together. So, Mira, please introduce yourself.
Hey guys, my name's Mira. Been a longtime fan of Artemis Fowl. Read the books, I think, when I was 9, so in about 2004 or so. Soon after they got off the ground, everyone was telling me about it. They immediately became my favorite stories, favorite books, and since that point, have been waiting for the movie. So this is so exciting. It's been, what, almost 2 decades, I think? And yeah. Now we've got it.
I first picked the book up back in 2001 when it was first released. So I was 11 at that time because I'm sort of nearing 30 now. And oh my god, it's been a long wait. It's been a very, very long wait. So, introductions aside now you know who we are, you can stop caring. So today, our episode is going to focus on everything, you know, the main thing that's on everyone's lips and minds at the moment, which is the Artemis Fowl movie and the teaser. So if you haven't checked out the teaser and the poster yet, make sure you hop onto our site to take a little look. But yeah, we know that the movie has sparked some debate. The teaser trailer, the interviews put out on Oh My Disney, it sparked, I think we'll call it debate. Friendly discussion, I think, is probably a stretch. I've seen a bit of argumentativeness going on online. There is, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of tension, you know. It happens when something that people really, really love is being I'm not going to say repurposed, but definitely reimagined.
Yeah, it's an adaptation. I think it's been so long since the books first released that they're bound to change some stuff. We know they're changing some things. We know they're potentially modernising it a little bit and trying to make it available to a much wider audience. And I think for that reason, they are going to make some changes. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of unanswered questions, I think, as well. You know, it's we don't know a lot about what they've changed. What we know the kind of core changes are. Judi Dench is going to be playing Commander Roots, which changes Holly's character arc a little bit. We've heard rumours that Artemis's villainy will be toned down a little bit, which obviously is a real core principle of the book. So I think Disney have to be quite careful with what they do in regards to that. But yeah, I think, you know, we've got a lot we want to go through today. We want to address some people's concerns. We want to sort of get some theories out in the open and figure things out from there, really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've heard lots and lots of concerns voiced pretty publicly. We went through Reddit, we went through our Facebook groups, lots of people online who are coming out of the woodwork now who absolutely loved Artemis Fowl. They grew up with it and hold it very near and dear to their hearts. So it's a big thing to go ahead and just readapt. And those are the things we want to address today. Some of those concerns that people have been been voicing online. Okay, guys, the first thing we wanted to talk about was simply the date that the teaser trailer was actually released. We think it's a little bit crazy how Avengers is coming out in May, and we don't even have a title yet, but Artemis Fowl, which is coming out in August, has already a full teaser trailer. This was something that we thought was a little bit odd, so we dug into it a little bit, thought about it, spoke about it, and we had some thoughts, so we wanted to share those also. Bear with us at the same time. This is the first time either of us has recorded a podcast, so we've got like cameras and we have our laptops on the side trying to like figure out where to look, and we have to keep cutting.
It doesn't help.
Yeah.
It doesn't help that we're in entirely different countries either, so we're not in the same room where we can just easily kind of hash this out as an open discussion. Mm-hmm. I think we've got Skype open.
Yeah.
We've got Audacity recording audio. We've got our phones recording video. It's a bit complicated, so please bear with us. We'll find better ways to do this as we move forward. That's it. But going back to what you were saying, it does seem weird to me, when the movie was announced, I kind of, and when we got a release date, I started looking at sort of Disney's general release schedule. So how, over time, how long did Disney leave it between between dropping things and releasing things and teasing information out? And one thing that sort of struck me was that we've got the teaser trailer much earlier than I expected. I mean, there'll be a few comments from me in various kind of platforms where I sort of estimated that we'd get a teaser maybe January. So to get one as early as we have kind of tells me that maybe Disney are looking to get reactions first. They want to know how people are reacting to what they're putting out, and I think they've put some stuff in the teaser trailer that might be a bit divisive on purpose.
Definitely.
We don't know whether they'd look to maybe sort of edit the movie or tweak things or do some reshoots. I don't know at this point.
Especially because so many people have been following the saga of Artemis Fowl getting a movie. I think that makes it so that we don't just have a property and a franchise that everyone loves. It's a property and a franchise that everyone loves and has been getting teased for a movie for like 17 years, which is insane. People are a lot more invested in it. Because of that, I think it's also important, and it makes a lot of sense why Disney would want to get people's reactions from it. See how that fan base, which could become rabid, we don't know, see how they react to some divisive
fan bases
material.
Tend to do.
Exactly, yeah. So how do they react when they see something that's a little bit controversial? How do they react when they see the cast? How do they react when they see different fairy tech, when they see what Haven looks like? I think that's really important, and since Disney is such a big studio, it makes sense that they would kind of want to play it a little bit safe, I guess. Make sure that they're giving us something we want to see.
We've also seen over the years, we've seen a lot of flopped attempts at book to movie adaptations.
Yeah.
And I think the reason Harry Potter did so well was because it was so faithful to the books.
Yes.
I think because it was a true realisation of a novel. Very much that you're walking into the cinema and you are seeing on screen what you read on paper.
Definitely. At least in the beginning also, where the books were short and it was very easy to translate them to screen. It makes a lot more sense then that the movies were able to really translate and give life to that kind of short novel, I would say. And then later on in the series, when the books started getting larger and they had to cut things, people were already invested. They wanted to see the movies at that point. It didn't matter as much to them. The movies had become their own entity. And I think that major studios have kind of forgotten that in the beginning, at the very least, you have to be faithful to the story and you have to be faithful to the source material, because otherwise down the line, you're not going to get people coming back, because you're going to have angry fans and then people who just don't want to see the movie.
Makes sense, doesn't it? And I think that's kind of one of my sort of biggest things at the moment is that we've got this teaser so early. What other reason could there be for getting that teaser so early?
Right.
We've got Avengers coming out in May. Mm-hmm. We haven't even got a title for that yet, let alone a teaser. And to have the teaser for a movie that's releasing in August, best part of 9 months away when they drop the teaser trailer.
Yeah, that's an insane amount of time. Normally it's what, like max
6
3
months.
months? 6 months, yeah. 6 months if you have a teaser for like a highly anticipated movie. But there wasn't any press about the movie before the teaser dropped.
It just happened, didn't it? It was just kind of, nothing, and then suddenly we get a teaser trailer followed up with some interesting interviews, which I believe were trying to address some of the concerns that were going to be coming out or were coming out.
Yeah, I would definitely say that. I think that it was very strategic the way everything dropped, where we have the teaser, then we have the immediate reaction of the fans online. We have a lot of that on Reddit, especially. And then suddenly there's articles coming out. Like, this is what the director wants. This is what we think is happening. This is the vision. Trying to, like, smooth everything out.
Yeah, and I think it's Disney trying to get the community to open up a dialogue to look at what they feel is, what's coming and what they feel is going to work and what's not going to work. And I think Disney will use that feedback and potentially make edits.
Yeah.
But yeah,
that would be cool.
We can only wait. If they do kind of take the not necessarily criticism but thoughts and concerns on board, we might get something that actually comes out really, really well. Who knows? So just before we get into this, I'm just going to adjust. I've got my handy makeshift microphone stand, and it's a bit out of my face. Do you like here's my makeshift microphone stand. So I'm gonna toss that down here, and I'm just going to keep the microphone out of view because it's having a box in front of my face is triggering me quite hard. So almost as triggered as Artemis Fowl fans right now.
Yes.
Oh dear. So the first kind of minor concern raised that I want to talk about now is in the teaser trailer we see a scene where the Ho Chi Minh City sprite is obviously rejuvenated. So we see her kind of getting young and bursting into life and jumping up and flying. And I wanted to talk about how the transition between that and a scene where we see Butler and Artemis kind of stepping back in shock. Now, someone on Reddit, I think it was, I've got the name here, Striffleric, I think. Striffleric?
Yeah, I think that's the one.
Something like that. He kind of notes that you obviously see when the sprite seems to rise up, it cuts to, when you hear Judi Dench's voice go, Artemis Fowl. You see
that was good.
Thank you. Should I go for an audition for the Arctic Incident movie?
Yeah, definitely.
But you see, when she says the words Artemis Fowl, it cuts to a shot of Artemis sort of looking up. And I think that's potentially meant to be in line with the scene of the sprite sort of jumping into life. And he raises a valid point that perhaps the scene where we see Butler and Artemis kind of jump back in shock a little. Well, so you see Artemis jump back and recoil, and you see Butler kind of go, oh, God. Perhaps that is it's from something different. Maybe she attacks them. Maybe she blows up. Maybe something, Artemis gave her does something quite horrible. We don't know. But maybe it does seem very odd that kind of graceful jump to just flying in the air would shock them so much. And it's just a small observation, and it's something we've seen raised, and I just wanted to kind of talk about that a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when I went through to do the teaser breakdown, it was something that I totally missed because the two shots really look like they belong together. They have the same coloring, and it made sense going back and forth between the fairy transforming and then Artemis and Butler kind of jumping back. It made sense. And it was very cleverly done. But once I saw that guy's post on Reddit, also what his name is, but when he pointed out that they could be two different shots, and that was really cool and eye-opening for me because I had totally missed it. And once he said that, it really made sense because Artemis doesn't seem to be taken aback when he first
by anything.
Right, and like you said before, when Judi Dench is also saying the Artemis Fowl line, whatever, and you see his face looking up, and it makes sense that that's him looking at the sprite. And then the transformation just seems to be different. Also, added on to that, when we see the sprite actually transforming and you see Artemis and Butler from the back,
they're just there, aren't
they're
they?
just standing. They're not moving or doing anything like that. So another piece of evidence. Maybe it's really not from the same. Maybe it's not the same shot.
Yeah, the more I think about it, the more I think that makes sense. You don't see them react in that kind of way when she, you can see quite clearly in the teaser when she goes up, they're just stood there, and unless they have very delayed reactions, which is not something you typically associate with Butler and Artemis.
Definitely not.
Yeah. So, Another one, we might as well carry on rather than having a little break up. If you're happy to, Mira. Let's just roll with it. Let's do this impromptu.
For sure, let's do it.
So we've got a user called Fried Amobo. It's a little easier to say than Striffler. Blah, blah, blah. But his thoughts on Reddit, or her thoughts on Reddit, we don't know. The fairies potentially being behind Artemis Senior's disappearance. Now that one doesn't, on first thought, it doesn't sit well with me. The fairies don't get involved in that kind of thing. I can't see that being an actual plot point.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I was a little sketchy on that whole idea, especially because in the books it's such an established fact that the fairies really don't care about the human world until they're forced to.
Now, it's not in the books. It could be an interesting plot line for the movie if Artemis thinks that they're behind it, but obviously they aren't. But it could lend itself to a stronger plot line for the second book, which is obviously where the goblins are in cahoots with the humans in terms of bringing batteries into Haven to power the soft noses. But I don't know what your thoughts are on that, Mira.
I think it's an interesting idea. I'm curious to see where they'll go with it, because I feel like it really is a fundamental, tenet of fairy life, of we don't concern ourselves with the mudmen. So seeing where that'll go will be kind of interesting.
I agree. I mean, it's a fairly small thing. I think it's potentially just another kind of a sort of a line thrown by Disney that I think they may look at sort of Artemis thinking it's the fairy people, which could, lead on to why he decides to seek them out, and to try and obviously kidnap Holly and so on.
I'm also not convinced that it isn't a holdover from when they were originally going to make the first movie, both books.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. The most that's been referenced about Artemis Senior is just that he's not there. And we know where he's gone because we've read the series, but to first-time viewers, I don't think they're really going to address it until it comes up and until it's really necessary.
Yeah, I also wanted to address another little thing that we've kind of looked at, which is a Reddit user called DJ Alistair. And he mentions that Judi Dench could just be playing Root as a man. We don't know if that's true or not. I mean, what I've seen put out from Disney so far kind of indicates that they are changing the plotline away from Holly being the first female LEP recon officer.
Right.
I suppose there's every chance it could be kind of angled in that way, but it is quite a far-fetched idea, as he says in the post, and I just wanted to sort of put out there because I think it's on the. Let me just find the right article. I think it's the Oh My Disney article. Yeah, so there's an Oh My Disney article. Yeah, they put it out on the 27th of November, and it says. Going into the casting process, Branagh wanted to bring in the most talented people, no matter who they were. A big change he made was to have Judi Dench play LEP Recon leader Commander Root, who was originally a male character in the books. Branagh also decided to age down our favourite fairy, Holly. There was, so here you go, and in the next part of that same article, Holly has a bit of a different story than in the books. The Holly Short we met in the books is the first female officer of LEP Recon, but with the addition of Dame Judi Dench to the cast as Commander Root, that is no longer the case. So I think they're making it quite clear there that Holly will no longer be the first female in LEP Recon. However, the article does go on to say that doesn't mean Holly doesn't still have to put up with the challenges that come with her position. We don't make life any simpler for her in terms of progress, Branagh told us. There are plenty of obstacles that get in her way and impede that. Now, we know that there is a new character being introduced into the movie with the second name Short. Do you remember the first name?
Beechwood Short, I think.
Beechwood.
I think.
No, I think so.
Let me check IMDb.
Yeah, it's Beech with a double E, I think.
So.
Didn't we find somewhere that this Beechwood Short character is referenced as her father?
Yes, actually, here I have it in. Okay. It's from the Slash Film article. Quote from Kenneth Branagh. Here we go. I think you can imagine with Judi Dench, we have a powerful female mentor discussing other ways in which Holly is an advancement, and her particular position in the LEP recon can be distinct and powerful and effective, has a different spin. So we retain a strong interest in Holly's independence and also the isolation that the story puts her under pressure, with legends about so-called possible father.
Ah.
Yes. So this is a direct quote from Brenna, and I think that we can assume that the mysterious short who's casted is going to be this so-called possible father. Yeah.
Father figure. And I said right from the beginning, you know, when Judi Dench was originally cast in the role of Root, and the community started discussing the fact that would no longer make Holly the first female in LEP Recon, that they would probably have to try, you know, it's a very big part of Holly's
I'd say it's her main arc.
And I think they would. Yeah, it is. And I think they would have to find a way to kind of have something similar. And I always said, you know, if Beechwood Short is either playing a father or a brother, she would either have competitiveness, you know, with a brother, a male, or she would have trying to live up to her father's expectations as a daughter. So potentially there's, you know, I think Disney will work that well. It just depends on who that Beechwood Short character is and kind of what kind of screen time we're talking and how it fits into the general story.
Yeah. I think I remember us speaking months ago about that, and you had that prediction of, like, this guy, we don't know who he is, he's up on the IMDb cast page. This was as they were adding characters one by one, and you were like, I'm sure this is going to be a father figure or a brother or someone she's going to be competing with.
I've got to find somewhere to put bets. I've got to find somewhere I can put bets on these things. I could come out of this movie a very rich man if I could bet on everything.
You never know, so...
That's it.
Still on Holly for a second.
Oh, okay.
There was another Reddit comment that I found. Once the trailer got posted, there was just so much discussion. I went through so many comments. Not just for material. I was also curious, as, you know, a fan. But I found this one comment by someone named Chilliant, saying that...
So just quickly, but why can't people have normal Reddit usernames so us poor podcasters can pronounce them easily? But anyway, sorry, carry on.
I don't know.
How dare they?
I don't know. But he or she commented talking about Vinyaya, who's the wing commander, I think, if I remember correctly. Oh, she's on the Fairy Council. And they talk about how she blazed the trail for females in the LEP.
I remember a quote. It was, she could fly a shuttle through the gap in your teeth or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, or was that, it might have been Vinyaya saying that about Holly, but yeah,
maybe.
Something like that. But anyway, sorry, Karen.
One of the two, yeah. But this user said that Disney may be removing the character of Vinyaya and using Root instead to convey her arc. So... Holly, we see later on in the books when Holly actually meets Vinyaya and she references her and everything, it's clearly somebody that she looks up to tremendously and kind of idolizes because she really was the first female. Holly's the first female in Recon, but Vinyaya was the first female ever. And this user said that maybe they've combined Vinyaya's character with Root's character. In general, when movies change things, they like to condense characters together because in books you have a lot of small characters who play small roles. And I think it's cool combining the two characters of Vinyaya and Root, especially later down the line. If we get enough movies to see Section 8, I think that'll be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Although
we're quite a few movies to get there, aren't we?
Yeah, that's true.
And yeah, I guess we'll see. As long as they, you know, if they're going to do a few, as long as they get to the Opal Deception, in my mind, you know,
I'd be okay with just those four.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they ended it off fairly well at the end of the fourth one, I think.
I think so too. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But we'll see. You know, time will tell.
Yeah.
I do think that Disney probably do want to turn this into their Potter universe.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think Disney have got, you know, they own a lot of franchises, they own a lot of studios, but they never really had their Potter, did they? They never really had their kind of really, really deep young adult kind of adaptation that turned into sort of a big thing. And, you know, if we may see, you know, down the line, if the movie does well enough and they churn out some good sequels, we could get our own Artemis Fowl studio tour. You know, you can have one around Fowl Manor and go check out the miniature model version of Haven, and
that would be amazing.
That's what that's what kind of keeps me going and excited with this. You know, it's we've been waiting so long for a movie. That
was actually my first thought when I saw how young they had casted the original actors.
Oh, yeah.
I was very, very concerned before casting happened that they were going to age everybody up. It was going to be another Percy Jackson where you have characters who are just aged out of their maturity bracket. And, you know, I was very worried about that. And then the second I saw that they cast Ferdia Shaw and Lara McDonnell and that they were young. They were 10, 11 years old. Or 12.
It's a lot of pressure. I mean, it's a lot of pressure to put on a new child
very
actor.
Much so.
To play this kind of iconic role, and it's the same risk that Warner Brothers took with Harry Potter. You know, they cast a young unknown in the title role,
but it really paid off.
As long as he can put,
but
I don't know if you saw this, but do you know who Ferdia Shaw is? A descendant. I think he's like a great grandson or something of the great late Richard Shaw, who was in Jaws.
Really?
Yeah, I can't remember where I read it.
I don't think there's...
Been on IMDb.
How many generations is that? That doesn't make sense.
I think it's a grandson or a great-grandson.
That's cool.
Of Richard Shaw.
Okay, so theater's in his blood. It's fine. We got it.
So, and we can all, you know, we can all remember that role in Jaws. I mean, that was an iconic, very well-acted role. So hopefully he got the good genes. Yeah. Time will tell, but just from his facial expressions, I mean, the look up, that kind of sinister, stern look. I mean, that's pretty much all we saw of him. We saw that stern look. We saw a couple of shots of him swaggering towards the camera.
I loved it. It's very Men in Black.
I'm hoping they tone it down a little bit. I don't want it to be too kitschy, too camp, too flamboyant. You know, it's a very serious.
Honestly, I'm okay with a little camp though. The books are kind of campy. The books have camp.
Well, I mean, one of the main characters quite literally can propel himself into the air with flatulence. So I think.
So I think it deserves a little bit of camp.
God, I really do wonder how that is going to translate onto the screen. Are they going to keep that? What do you think?
I have no way. I cannot conceive of how the movie could still be. I don't know what they're going to rate it, but I'm sure it's going to be a PG, at the most PG-13. And, like, I have no idea how they can do that without getting an R rating slapped on there.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. That's the one thing that whenever I thought about an adaptation of Artemis Fowl, I didn't think of the characters or the plots. I just thought, how is Mulch going to function as a character with his abilities? That's the only thing I'm really interested to see if and how Disney pull it off, you know?
Yeah. Although one thing I can say for certain, Josh Gad is perfect as Mulch.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely perfect. I can't... Just every time I think about it, I just kind of laugh to myself of like, I just cannot wait. I can't wait to see this.
Did you see his tweet when the teaser dropped?
Maybe? Did I?
I think he posted up. It was something like, however many years of acting school, and you can now see my dilated right eye in the teaser trailer for the upcoming Artemis. But then the official Twitter account just responded with an eye emoji, and it was just perfect. On the money.
That's awesome.
Just look at my eye at the moment. I think I've got an eye infection starting, and we're just doing this anyway.
I'm definitely going to go back through every frame of this video and put an eye patch on you.
Yeah, do it.
It's just worth my time.
Or just shop a pair of mirrored shades onto me for the entirety of the video.
We could do that too.
Yeah, I'm so going to have to cosplay as someone. I think the only sort of characters I could go for are Mulch or Foley with this beard.
Foley, maybe.
Foley, yeah. Well, Mulch.
Yeah. Mulch
has a beard.
Maybe, yeah, probably more Mulch. Foley, I always more imagined as being like, I don't know. If he had facial hair, I imagined it to be pretty close.
Yeah, I like to think so, but we'll see. So
that's another thing. We didn't see Foley. I'm waiting for Foley. I'm very, very excited to see Foley.
I want to see how, because obviously I always imagine, you've got the fairy people, which are all kind of sub 5 feet in height.
Yeah.
And then you've got what is supposed to be a quite literal horse with a human. With the human torso, how that is going to function on screen again. Is it going to be a tiny centaur? Is it going to be like a little micro centaur?
You know what? I don't know. I always like...
So many questions.
I never thought about it. I mean, okay, if Haven is scaled to fit fairies, I have to assume that he's really just a pony. or something.
I hope he's a really small horse. I really want him to be a small centaur because
Maybe he'll be played by Lil Sebastian.
maybe.
So, the last theory I want to talk about with you guys, it's quite a serious one, and the more I think about it, the more weight I think it has. It's been brought to our attention by a chap called Tony House on the Artemis Fowl subreddit. Now, he writes, upon probably a 100th rewatch, I've noticed something in the scene where Artemis and Butler walk to the ancient tree. Now, just before I get into this any further, guys, this is a real serious theory. I think it's really got some weight to it. But anyway, Artemis is carrying a huge backpack in this clip, while Butler is walking near him completely empty-handed. And it makes sense now. All the weirdness, all the changes, it all makes sense. So obviously, Disney are making a movie about Artemis Fowl, the big, black, blonde, 7-foot-tall guy, and his man-boy servant Butler. There you go. That's the theory. That's what they've done. And do you know what? I would watch the hell out of that. I would watch that over and over again.
I definitely would.
That's like a desert island movie for me.
Yep.
7-foot black Artemis Fowl. Boom. Done. Easy. Sold. Next.
But imagine also a 7-foot black Artemis Fowl who can't do a thing physical.
Oh, that's hilarious. That's brilliant. I love that. just totally, just no coordination. That's something.
Absolutely zero.
That's actually. Do you know what? Saying that, there's one more thing we need to talk about there. Actually, before
Artemis firing the neutrino.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I forgot about that one.
Yeah.
That is
what we
an
think is
interesting.
the neutrino.
Yeah. What we think is the neutrino. I mean, judging by it, because obviously you see the scene with, and that raises another one as well. Okay, we've got another few minutes to discuss here, Mira.
Okay, here we go.
Let's unpack
Last
this.
bit.
Right.
This is the epilogue.
This is the epilogue. So we've got three things to talk about, right? So we've got Artemis with the neutrino, we've got Butler with the bow and arrow, and we've got Judi Dench as Commander Root supposedly blowing up loads of other LED recon.
That was.
Let's unpack this in order. So Artemis with the neutrino, right? We know Artemis is uncoordinated and couldn't shoot a barn door from a foot away. What I'm hoping for that is that either that's going to be something that's not used in the final movie, because I really don't want to see Artemis involved in any sort of fighting. Because
same.
Just personally, but there might be other opinions on that. The other thing I was thinking is it might just be Artemis playing with some LEP technology after they've kidnapped Holly.
Yeah.
It could just be Artemis.
It doesn't necessarily have to be part of any battle.
No, it
just
could just
because
be Artemis
we see it intercut with Butler also using the bow and arrow doesn't necessarily mean that there's really...
Exactly, and aside from that, at the moment, unless Disney have gone, Artemis might not be as uncoordinated as we know him. Maybe he is in the movie. Maybe he is a bit more of a regular kid who would love the thought of picking up fairy technology and shooting things with it. But we shall see. We've then got Butler with the LEP bow and arrow. It's got to be fairy tech. We know it's fairy tech because there's no way that anything on Earth or anything on the surface has created that. Right. It seems to be kind of very Terminator 2 sort of liquid metal sort of, you know. What do you think about that? I know you've got a bit of an opinion on the bow and arrow.
I really, really liked the bow and arrow. Most of the fan opinions that I've seen online have been kind of negative because they really, really want to see Butler with the Sig Sauer. But I love the fairy tech. I think it's really cool. And just because he's using fairy tech doesn't necessarily mean that we won't see him with the Sig Sauer, since that is his signature gun. But like I said in the trailer breakdown, like I said in the trailer breakdown, I love the idea of fairy tech having evolved from ancient weapons. Or ancient, meaning not technology weapons. So instead of having regular guns, they'll have like a super-powered bow and arrow, or they'll have, I don't know, imagine really cool like nuclear trebuchets, or I don't know, something like that.
Or maybe the siege will just have...
It'll just be catapults. And I think that's a really cool idea of just being able to have like really technologically advanced old weapons. Which is cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I don't have any doubt that we're going to see Butler just absolutely destroying with a variety of weapons, because that's part of it, you know.
If we get a toned down troll scene, that could go badly. I think the trolls, Because you've obviously got Butler initially sinking an entire clip of bullets into the troll's head and it not really phasing him. We know how the battle with that goes. We won't spoil too much of it, but I'm hoping we get the medieval suit of armour and the mace.
Oh my gosh.
We'll see.
The suit of armour has to be in there. It's going to be fantastic.
It's a signature part of Artemis Fowl, the first book, and I'm hoping we get it, but we'll see. The last part, obviously, we need to discuss is Judi Dench's route, surrounded by LEP recon officers.
Appearing to get arrested?
Appearing to, and then appearing to blow up. Now, all I can think is that that's got something to do with the Root Cudgeon subplot, where Cudgeon kind of supersedes Root's authority and does this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
Because I can't think of any other reason for it, unless it's someone else attacking them.
Right.
And I don't know.
She also seems very calm. That's another part of it. She's very in control of the situation. So regardless of whether or not she's being, arrested or just cornered, anything like that, we don't see any. I mean, I don't know if somebody is cast to play Briar Cudgeon. If that is, if he's in there.
Briar Cudgeon has got. I did see the casting.
Then he's in
Briar
there.
Cudgeon. Briar Cudgeon is in there. It's Joshua Maguire playing Briar Cudgeon. Now, Josh Maguire, I've seen in something else. Let me just look him up.
Is he related to Tobey Maguire?
No.
Oh.
Yeah, so Briar Cudgeon has been cast. It looks like they're keeping, and Joshua Maguire has the face of Briar Cudgeon. He looks good. He looks like a good Briar Cudgeon. So I think. Yeah, well, I mean, we'll see. We'll see what they do with it. But it sounds like they're going to expand on that kind of Cudgeon route, sort of.
I don't mind. I think that's really great. And it's also a fantastic setup for a sequel if they do, hoping the movie does well enough for us to kick off a whole movie franchise. And then we get
that's the dream.
The Arctic Incident, and we get the Eternity Code. Oh, I'd love to see the Eternity Code.
Eternity Code is probably my favorite Artemis Fowl book.
It is my favorite one. So everyone I've spoken to thinks that the Eternity Code is the best one.
I think that says something. It's because it's got everything. It's got it's like an Ocean's 11 style heist, and it's got the switcheroo, and it's got everything that happens with Butler and it's just.
Oh my gosh, it's so fantastic! It's like the height of Artemis's ingenuity, and it's the height of fairy technology, and we have everything coming to a head, and it's so perfect. Also, the villains are amazing.
Yeah, we get the Artemis the Hunter quote, one of the most infamous quotes of the series. It's perfect, it's the perfect Artemis Fowl book, I think, in my mind. It's top of my list, but it's all subjective, isn't it? But
I guess so, but...
We digress, and we were trying to keep this to 10-15 minutes, but I have a sneaking suspicion this video is going to get close. This part alone is reaching 9 minutes, so I think
my god, yeah.
I think we're going to wrap it up there, ladies and gentlemen. But,
definitely. Thank you all for tuning in. First ever AFC podcast.
Yeah, we'd love to hear your thoughts, your theories, your comments. Please rip us apart. Say what we could do better, what we've done really badly. Yeah, I mean, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, send a carrier pigeon, whatever you want to do, really.
Carrier pigeons are good. I like it. Yeah. I like those.
Plus, we get free pigeons.
Yeah. I'm down. I don't see a downside.
That's it. And also, don't forget, you can support Artemis Fowl Confidential by getting our lovely t-shirts.
Woohoo!
I survived the wait. Mira survived the wait. You survived the wait. Let's wear these to the premiere.
Yes.
Thank you very much, guys. Signing off.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Anytime we make a mistake, we'll just be like, oh, we'll fix it in post.
Yeah, fix it in post.
It's an editor's worst nightmare.